What's the difference between oolong versus green tea? In this video, we're going to find out. We're going to be comparing a few key differences between oolong and green tea, and then finally, we'll do a taste comparison of the two. So first off, what's the definition of oolong tea and green tea? Tea is actually split up into 6 different types: white tea, yellow tea, green tea, oolong tea, red tea, and dark tea. These teas are all made from the same plant, but they are processed differently. Green tea, oolong tea, and black tea are separated by their oxidation levels. Green tea is unoxidized, black tea is fully oxidized, and oolong tea is partially oxidized, making it somewhere in the middle. Oxidation begins to occur immediately after the tea leaves are picked. Eventually, the polyphenols in the leaf will be converted into theaflavins and theorubicins. The tea will lose its natural vegetal flavors and exchange them for warmer notes of chocolate and caramel, like you'd find in a black tea. If a farmer wants to lock in these natural vegetal taste profiles and produce a green tea, he will need to heat the tea leaves immediately after harvest. In Japan, the leaves will be put into a steam bath in order to produce that unique flavor profile that Japanese green teas are known for, with flavors of steamed vegetables, edamame, or seaweed. If a farmer wants to produce an oolong or partially oxidized tea, he will accelerate the oxidation process and then stop it later on. The oxidation process is accelerated by rolling and bruising the tea leaves in order to bring certain compounds to the surface so they can be exposed to oxygen. Later on, the oxidation process will be stopped by applying heat to the tea leaves. This makes oolong the most processed of all the major tea types. The farmer has a lot of control over the finished product, as he can decide how to roll the leaves, how long to let them oxidize, how to heat them, and finally, how to roast them afterwards. This makes oolong perhaps the most diverse tea type, with lightly oxidized green oolongs to heavily oxidized dark oolong teas. So now that we've talked a little bit about how each of these teas are made, let's compare oolong versus a green tea to see what we notice. On the left, we have the Gyokuro Sasahime, a long-shaded green tea from Mr. Sakamoto in Shibushi. On the right, we have a rare Japanese oolong tea from Miyazaki Prefecture. While oolong tea is very rare in Japan as a whole, there are still a few farmers in Miyazaki that produce this coveted tea using traditional methods. This is a great one that we found a few years ago from Miyazaki Sabo. If we compare the leaves, you'll notice they are very different. The oolong tea looks fluffier compared to the needle-shaped leaves of Gyokuro. Oolong is made from older tea leaves which are larger, and they tend to be rolled into either a strip shape, a ball shape, or somewhere in the middle, like this one. The older leaves of the tea plant are also lower in caffeine, which means you can drink oolong later on in the day. The leaves are also lighter compared to the Gyokuro, which in this case is because oolong tea is unshaded, while certain types of Japanese green teas are shaded. In order to produce the trademark sweet and savory flavor that Gyokuro is known for, the farmer needs to cut the tea plants off from sunlight for 3 weeks before the harvest. This causes the leaves to take on less bitterness, more caffeine, and more chlorophyll as well, leading to their darker color. Finally, Gyokuro goes through an additional rolling phase in order to get these tight, needle-shaped leaves. While Gyokuro has especially thin leaves, most Japanese green teas resemble this shape. Now let's brew these teas up and get into another difference between green tea versus oolong, and that's brewing temperature. Because green teas are made from the younger leaves of the tea plant and they are unoxidized, they are sensitive to temperature. Green tea contains a lot of catechins and polyphenols. While these are great antioxidants for your health, they can take on a bitter flavor if you extract too much. Luckily, these bitter components are harder to extract, so as long as you stick to a lower brewing temperature and a shorter brewing time, you can end up with a smooth and slightly sweet green tea. During the oxidation process, the polyphenols in the leaves are reduced, so the tea doesn't get bitter as easily. You can use a higher temperature for this oolong. I'll be using a brewing temperature of 85 degrees Celsius or 185 degrees Fahrenheit for the Japanese oolong, and a brewing temperature of 60 degrees Celsius or 140 degrees Fahrenheit for the Gyokuro. I brewed the oolong for 1 minute and the Gyokuro for 2 minutes. You can already see a difference in the color between the two teas. The oolong takes on a clear, yellowish color, which is typical for a lightly oxidized oolong like this. The Gyokuro, on the other hand, has a slight greenish yellow hue, and it's much cloudier. While most green teas are yellow in color, certain Japanese green teas can range from greenish yellow to a dark jade green color, which you might find in a Fukumushi Sencha. Finally, let's compare the flavor of the two teas. What's pretty typical in a lightly oxidized oolong is this distinct floral aroma and flavor. This aroma is incredibly strong, almost like a perfume, with notes of lilac and honeysuckle. This tea also has a strong minerality to it, which you can notice as a tingling sensation on the tongue, and it has a slightly dry finish. The Gyokuro, on the other hand, has a much thicker consistency, with a strong sweetness and a powerful savory finish. This savory or umami flavor makes it very unique in the world of green tea, but what's much more common is this steamed vegetable or seaweed flavor profile. This is something you might also find in a Sencha, the most common type of Japanese green tea. The flavor of these teas couldn't be more different, and you almost can't compare them. If you want these more floral, perfume-like qualities in a tea, go for the Japanese Oolong. If you want to try something new and you like these savory, steamed vegetable, and sweet-tasting notes, definitely go for the Gyokuro. You can find both of these teas on our website, neoteas.com, and get free worldwide shipping on all orders. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. Until then, we'll see you next time.